There's something no one tells you about life. Existing itself is heavy, not because you're hurt, not because you're sad, but because every moment of being alive carries a kind of gravitational pull, a demand to breathe, to think, to continue. We call it suffering when the weight crushes us. But even when it doesn't, the weight is still there. Think of it like carrying a backpack that you can never put down. Some days it's light, some days it's full of bricks, but it's always there, and you never asked for it. That's the price of simply waking up in a body. You didn't choose to exist, but here you are, holding up the sky of your own being. We try to distract ourselves from it by calling it purpose, by naming it responsibility, by drowning it in noise. But the weight never leaves. Even joy has weight. Love has weight. Peace has weight. Existing is like standing in a river that never stops pushing against you. You can stand tall, or you can let it pull you under. But either way, the current doesn't rest. Maybe that's why we're so desperate to share our lives, because carrying existence alone feels unbearable, but carrying it together almost feels like relief. So the question isn't, how do you make the weight disappear? It won't. The question is, can you learn to dance with it, to balance under it instead of breaking? Because maybe the burden of existing is also the proof that you are here. And maybe that is enough. We like to believe morality is a compass, steady, universal, always pointing north. But what if it's broken? What if right and wrong bend under pressure, under culture, under fear? In one society, to kill is murder. In another, it's honor. One century calls it justice. Another calls it barbarism. And all the while, we insist our version is truth. But morality is not truth. It's survival. The rules we write are just mirrors of what we need at the time. When food is scarce, theft becomes necessity. When power is threatened, cruelty becomes order. And when death is at your door, even kindness becomes a luxury you can't afford. So tell me, if goodness only holds until it's inconvenient, is it goodness at all? Or is it just costumes stitched together by circumstance? Every moral system has cracks. Religion promises eternal law, but laws change. Governments preach justice, but justice bends with borders. Even inside you, your compass tilts depending on who's watching, what you fear, and what you want to keep. Maybe morality isn't a compass at all. Maybe it's a map that redraws itself every time we move, a shifting design, convenient enough to guide us, but never strong enough to stand when the ground shakes. And here's the danger. If morality bends, then so does evil. What one person calls atrocity, another calls salvation. History is full of men who believed their crimes were holy, who believed their cruelty was righteous. So how do we ever know if our goodness is real? Maybe the truest morality isn't in the rules at all. Maybe it's in the fracture, what you do when the compass spins, when the script fails, when survival whispers louder than ethics. Because if morality is broken, the only thing left to measure you by is what you choose in the silence after. You've been told a story, that history is a line, that we began in caves and now we hover over cities on fiber optic dreams, that progress is upward, always, inevitably, righteously. Because look at the skyscrapers, look at the AI, look at the space programs. We must be evolving. But what if we're not? What if civilization isn't climbing? What if it's just rotating, repackaging the same fears, the same violence, the same empty promises, but with better lighting and higher resolution. We burned heretics once, now we cancel them. We enslaved bodies, now we monetize minds. We crowned kings by divine right, now we elect them by algorithmic suggestion. And yet we call this progress. Every empire said it was the final one. Rome thought it was the pinnacle. So did Babylon, so did Britain, so do we. We think ancient humans were primitive because they didn't have Wi-Fi. But maybe they just didn't need it. Maybe we didn't evolve past them. We just evolved into a different kind of dependency. Our ancestors danced to summon rain. We simulate storms in climate chambers. Different ritual, same helplessness. We don't pray around fires anymore. We plug in and stream prayers to machines. We call it innovation. But if you strip away the tech, we're still hungry, afraid, territorial, confused. We still worship. We still destroy. We still search for meaning in chaos and then pretend we found it so we can sleep. Progress is not truth. It's branding. We didn't outgrow violence. We outsourced it. We didn't fix greed. We digitized it. We didn't escape control. We made it sleek and user-friendly. This isn't the future. It's a rerun with better marketing. What we call civilization may be less like a stairway and more like a carousel. Every generation riding the same cycle, thinking their horse is the fastest, because this time the music is digital. So no, civilization isn't evolving, it's performing. And maybe the only real progress is realizing the stage was always spinning,